Northern Illinois played Akron this past weekend. It was a battle of has-nots, I would suppose. Both teams were coming in 1-4 coming into this game, so must win for both teams. Northern Illinois was favored. The line closed on Northern Illinois at -4, and that's courtesy of Caesar Sportsbook. The model actually was going in a different direction. The model actually believed that Akron was should have been the team that's been favored. And the model had Akron at like +9. So what went wrong in this game? Because Akron did not win by 9 or more. Akron did not win, period. End of story. They didn't win outright. Northern Illinois covered, and Northern Illinois covered extremely comfortably. Northern Illinois actually won 55-14. It was a 40-point blowout in a game that was supposed to be a little bit more competitive. And I think, like, this Northern Illinois offense, I think is starting to turn a corner now that they're starting to get into MAC play. Because in their non-conference, which, by the way, in their non-conference, they lost to an FCS team in Southern Illinois. They scored 11 points against an FCS team. They were blown out by Nebraska. They lost a close one to Tulsa as well. Found a way somehow to beat Boston College on the road. Don't know how you do that. That 27 points was the most that they scored in non-conference play. But in their last two games, ever since starting MAC play, they played Toledo on the road. Toledo, a team that we have winning the MAC this year. They score 33. Close loss. And then they have this 55 points against Akron. I think why the model picked Akron to win this game instead of Northern Illinois was, while Akron hasn't been nearly as impressive either, they at least won their FCS matchup against Morgan State. And they've also been in closer games. A team that maybe hasn't put themselves in a position to win, but hasn't done it against FBS opponents. For example, season opener against Temple. They lost a close one against Temple. They lost a close one in overtime against Indiana. I believe that was a triple overtime game too. They lose to Buffalo by a field goal. So they were in positions to win throughout the season. Just Akron hasn't been able to get it done. Akron just fell flat. Now, talking to the actual game, what happened, how this game went down. Northern Illinois was riding their tailback, the junior, out of Savannah, Georgia, Antonio Brown, not to be confused with Antonio Brown. He had a season high in this game, 13. And keep in mind, the stats I'm about to give you, keep in mind that Antonio Brown only touched the ball 13 times in this game. So it's not like he had a full workload in the game. He had 280 yards. He scored 4 touchdowns. His longest run was 66 yards, and he averaged over 21 yards a carry. He was averaging a first down and then some. Simply not heard of. And here's the thing too. This game was close for a little bit. In the first quarter, Northern Illinois and Akron, they were trading touchdowns. But then the second quarter happened. Northern Illinois, they go get 28 unanswered points in the second quarter. 2 of those were Antonio Brown touchdowns that we were talking about. And they would go on to have, hang on, I got to do some math. 42 unanswered points before Akron scores again midway through the third quarter. After that first quarter touchdown that Akron had midway through the first quarter. So Northern Illinois, I don't know what was said after the first quarter, but whatever was said, it worked. It really worked. Other stats to keep your mind of in this Northern Illinois game. Huskies They had 570 yards of total offense. Akron was just held at 250. They could not find any offensive consistency after that first quarter of play. Turnovers actually weren't a big difference in this one, though. Akron only turned the ball over once. Northern Illinois was clean. First downs, Akron had the advantage. Akron had 19 first downs to Northern Illinois 17. And to top it off, possessions, Akron had more possession time. Akron had 36 minutes of time of possession, while Northern Illinois had around 24. So Akron won the time of possession. They got first downs. They even took care of the football pretty well in this game. But unfortunately, Akron, the biggest difference was the Zips just did not have the explosive plays. They kind of had to rely on being on schedule. And when you're not getting those big plays down the field and you're relying on being on schedule, eventually you're going to get off schedule. And when you get off schedule, that's going to create problems for you. You're forced to punt the ball away or settle for field goals. It's not sustainable consistently, just dinking and dumping down the field. You have to have those explosive plays. And Akron didn't get that. And even though they won the time of possession, Northern Illinois clearly was able to get those big plays down the field. All of the touchdowns that Northern Illinois scored in this game, all but 2 of them. So 14 of the 55 points. So they scored 8 touchdowns in this game. Only 2 of the 8 touchdowns were actually in the red zone. The other 6 touchdowns happened outside of the red zone. So Northern Illinois far more successful in getting those big plays. But what's next for the Huskies of Northern Illinois? Well, if they'll continue their MAC play, they're going to be at home after a 2-game road trip. They're going to take on the Ohio Bobcats. Ohio is certainly in the thick of things in the MAC East. 2-0 in conference play, 5-1 overall. Northern Illinois, realistically, if they want to go to the MAC championship game, I believe that's still in Detroit. They have to win out. The Huskies do. And then they need Toledo to drop a couple of games in order for Northern Illinois to go to the MAC championship. Still a lot of games left, 6 games. So that could happen. But Huskies need to win out, and they need a little bit of help too. But in the meantime, though, Ohio, in the thick of things, they're in a 3-way tie for first between Ohio, Miami, and Buffalo. They're all 2-0 in the MAC East. So in the interim, Northern Illinois could play a little bit of spoiler when they go play Ohio at home next Saturday. It's on the 14th. That's a 4 p.m. game that's going to be happening on ESPNU for those that care a little bit more about the MAC conference. As for Akron, Akron is now officially on a 4-game losing streak. They're still going to look for their first win in conference play. And to make things a little bit tougher, they're going to be on a road trip for the next couple of weeks. So they'll take on Bowling Green. Bowling Green got that upset against Georgia Tech, who beat Miami. So by transitive property, Bowling Green did beat the U. I don't make the rules. I just enforce them. But before that, they go on the road. They take on a decent Central Michigan team. Central Michigan in a better spot to go to the MAC championship game possibly at this point of the season, because Central Michigan, they haven't played Toledo yet. They'll play them at the end of the season. So Central Michigan certainly motivated because they need to win out to go to the MAC championship game. And they don't even need help. They just got to win out. They can handle, they control their own destiny still. Akron, meanwhile, certainly going to be out of it. 2 games out. They're 1-5. So, and it doesn't look great for Akron, to be honest. Maybe they can get a win against Kent State. Rivalry game. And both those teams have sucked, for lack of a better term. It's going to be hard sledding for the Akron Zips moving forward. They do play Central Michigan at 3:30 next this coming Saturday. That's on the 14th. Probably going to be on ESPN Plus. if you're a fan of Akron or Central Michigan. Okay. We're going to go ahead, take a quick drink from some water. Got to stay hydrated. Even though it may not be as hot, we have actual football weather now. So we talked about the Any Given Saturday top 25 poll, the week 7 edition, the power ratings, I should say, not rankings, ratings. Talked about the biggest surprises as well. Georgia and Kentucky, North Illinois going on the road, take on Akron, and in South Alabama playing UL Monroe. We talked all that. To close